If the washer itself won't fill properly or fill to sort of the full capacity, and that might either start running or give an error code. Is that going back to the water inlet valves that you were speaking about earlier?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, that's typically, 9 times out of 10, it's an issue with the water valve not filling fast enough. In rare cases, it could be the actual water level sensor not detecting that there's a change. You could get an error code then. Now, a lot of times what I see in the field too, especially if someone is new to the high efficient washer, they've had the same washer for 20 years and they just bought a brand new one. They put their clothes in, more so on the top loads. It fills up, it starts washing, and they look inside, and they can literally see some of their clothes sticking out of the water, and so like this thing didn't get enough water. So then they do even like a deep fill setting, and even then it's not a lot of water. They just don't use a lot of water. In a lot of cases, in the owner's manual, it will have kind of a frequently asked questions or kind of a troubleshooting section, and it does typically include how much water should be in the washer. A general rule of thumb, some brands are better than others. Some brands do typically use a little more water. LG, Samsung, they're pretty decent about using a little more water than the others. The ones that really use the bare minimum are your Kenmore, Whirlpool, Maytag top load washers. Those will really use the bare minimum. But a rule of thumb is if it fills and then once the light indicates that it's washing, not while it's sensing, not while it's filling, because they will fill, agitate, stop, start, fill, agitate, stop, start. But when it indicates it's washing, if you pause the unit, open the lid, and you can, at any point of all your clothes inside the washer, if you could push down and submerge the clothes underwater, then there's enough water in there. You'll still have a little shirt in sticking up or whatever, but if you can submerge it, that's kind of the baseline. So even though it doesn't seem like a lot, it's how much that washer's going to put out.
Gotcha, right. And it can, as you're saying, can often be mistaken on the high efficiency washer where it's maybe not using as much water as the older models.
Yeah, for sure,
Nice.
because
Yeah.
the difference is drastic. I mean, it's crazy. So I'm just
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, good stuff. And last one in terms of common troubleshooting, I have if the washer won't stop running, and this could be the homeowner just feels like it'll never stop, or it could be that the cycle's over but it's still going, something like that.
usually when I get that complaint, it's because it seems like it's taking a long time. The main reason that happens is because the washer is having a hard time balancing. So it will literally go through a wash and a rinse and a drain and a fill. And then once it gets to the point where it's about to spin, if it detects it's unbalanced and it can't regulate, sometimes it will actually literally fill all the way back up, agitate, drain, and then try to spin again. And so,
Right.
yeah, we're talking it could easily add on 20 to 40 minutes to a cycle if it has trouble. That's usually the reason. As far as it never really shutting off and continuing to run, even upwards of 2 hours, that's pretty rare. But if it does happen, it is in the control board. It's having a hard time sensing when cycles begin, when they end. On some Kenmore Whirlpool models, there was actually kind of a service bulletin where something would happen to where it would literally just do that. The cycle would never end, and so we had to get in there and kind of do like a reprogram on the control. But it's really rare. So yeah, it's typically just due to an unbalanced load. And again, that goes back to what we were talking about yesterday, where the suspension rods could be bad, and some other things. So it's usually an indication that there's a problem elsewhere in the washer.
Right, makes sense. And in which case, but yeah, best to look at the suspension rods and any other main troubleshooting.
Yeah, and then of course, just what you had said before, if it's not filling fast enough, then that can cause it to kind of freak out and do some weird things also. So yeah, you want to look and see if the flow of water is normal coming out too.
Right, gotcha.